Find out the secret of the battle between Archangel Miguel and Lucifer. Why did Lucifer try to claim the body of Moses? Why willed the Prince of Darkness leave his throne of shadows just to fight the corpse? And what happened on that mountain when no man was watching and the earth fell silent, but the heavens and hell held their breath? This is a mystery Altost at church talks about. The scene whispered only in one obscure verse in the book of Jude. A battle not of swords, but of authority. Because when Moses died, his story wasn't over. Lucifer came for his body, but someone stood in his way. And what happened next revealed just how dangerous Moses truly was, even in death. This is the story of the battle for Moses' body. As I slowly climbed the steep slope of Mount Nebo, I could feel the cold wind cutting my skin dry by the merciless sun of the desert. The silence hovered in the air, broken only by the sound of my own steps echoing between the old and cold rocks like ice. Arriving at the top, a stunning panorama was unveiled before me. The Jordan River surges like a silver tape through the valley, while the promised land stretched in front of me as an unreachable dream. There, after 120 years of life full of challenges and miracles, I, Moses, the servant of God, was about to cross the threshold between history and exile. My calloused feet rested on the desert dust. My long beard was embarrassed by the impetuous wind, and my faded tunic showed the signs of relentless time. However, despite the appearance marked by the years, my eyes had not weakened, nor my natural force had diminished. It was not dying of decree, it was being called by the voice of eternity to a new path. In the face of me, the land had extended that the Lord had promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. A land full of milk and honey, full of battles, kings, prophets, and blood. This is the land that I swore to your parents, said the Lord. Let your eyes contemplate her, but you won't get into her. It was not cruelty, it was divine justice. As I slowly climbed the steep slope of Mount Nebo, I could feel the cold wind cutting my skin dry by the merciless sun of the desert. The silence hovered in the air, broken only by the sound of my own steps echoing between the old and cold rocks like ice. Arriving at the top, a stunning panorama was unveiled before me. The Jordan River surges like a silver tape through the valley, while the promised land stretched in front of me as an unreachable dream. There, after 120 years of life full of challenges and miracles, I, Moses, the servant of God, was about to cross the threshold between history and exile. My calloused feet rested on the desert dust. My long beard was embarrassed by the impetuous wind, and my faded tunic showed the signs of relentless time. However, despite the appearance marked by the years, my eyes had not weakened, nor my natural force had diminished. It was not dying of decree, it was being called by the voice of eternity to a new path. In the face of me, the land had extended that the Lord had promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, a land full of milk and honey, full of battles, kings, prophets, and blood. This is the land that I swore to your parents, said the Lord. Let your eyes contemplate her, but you won't get into her. It was not cruelty, it was divine justice. Suddenly I found myself in complete loneliness in that arid top, after 120 years of a life full of challenges and miracles. It was as if time had stopped, and there, before the immensity before me, I felt the imposing presence of eternity. Each wrinkle on my face told a story, every step marked by decades of walking and unshakable faith. Mount Nebo silenced my restless soul. It was as if the ancient stones whispered secrets of ancient times. My naked feet touched the sacred earth. My calloused hands caressed the fresh morning wind. Solitude was not empty, but full of the divine presence that involved me. There, at that moment fleeting between past and eternity, everything converged to a unique moment, the culminating point of a journey that shaped not only my life, but the history of a chosen people. I was able to contemplate with my own marvelous eyes everything that extended before me, as if the promises made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob lived in the face of my vision, aged by time. From the lands of Naphtali to the fields of Ephraim, from the western sea to the plains of Judah, a land that flowed with milk and honey was unveiled before me. Every detail meticulously designed by the divine hand revealed an unparalleled wealth, a soil where battles were fought and overcome, where wise kings and prophets, anointed by the Most High, reigned. "This is the land that I swore to your parents," echoed the Lord's voice in my ears as I absorbed the grandeur of that unique moment. As the sun was on the horizon, throwing its rays between the peaks of the distant mountains, I remained there, motionless, wrapped in the soft breeze that caressed my face, marked by the years of arduous journey. Each wrinkle was a silent testimony of each challenge overcome, every victory achieved with the divine grace that has guided me from the dawn of my mission. Twilight brought with it a deep serenity, as if nature itself paid tribute to the impending transition to come. There, at the top of Mount Nebo, in front of the majestic scenario that stretched in front of me like a carpet embraced by the divine hands, I knew my earthly journey was coming to an end. It was there, at that moment of silent communion with the Creator, that I understood divine justice that governed not only my life, but the whole course in human history. The whispering voice of the wind echoed the words of the Eternal in my heart. "I let you see with your own eyes the promised land to your ancestors, however, it won't cross there." It was not a cruel sentence. It was the manifestation of the sovereign will of the one who had guided me at every step of the arduous and extraordinary journey through which I was called to walk. As I remained at the top of Mount Nebo, witnessing the impressive spectacle of the nature reflected in the last rays of sun that said goodbye to the horizon, I felt an imposing presence around me. An intense energy surrounded the air, as if heaven himself were blowing old secrets through the fresh breeze that caressed my aged face. It was then, at this time between daylight and the arrival of the night, that I noticed an invisible veil descend over the grave where Moses rested. The silence hung over the earth, but in heavenly kingdoms, hell watched closely. Heavenly concealment did not go unnoticed by the dark forces that saw beyond the veils of the material world. The evil interest aroused by the divine secret revealed at that solemn moment echoed by the abyssal depths. That was when infernal curiosity awoke to a transcendent truth. A sublime mystery ended in the grave of a mortal who had dared to challenge the powers beyond this world. As I contemplated the scene before me, the meaning of what witnessed became increasingly clear. Why was Lucifer so determined to claim the body of Moses? The answer resided in the immense significance that this mortal man carried. Moses was not just a prophet or leader, he was the messenger of heaven to his chosen people. Carrying the sculpted tablets by God's own hands, and the sacred writings that defined sin and pointed to future holiness. Moses represented the foundations of the divine covenant with humanity. Lucifer understood that if he could distort the inheritance left by Moses, he would have in hand not only bones and flesh, but power, authority, and influence on human destinies. This battle transcended mere physical possession. It was a dispute for the very essence of faith and redemption. As I contemplated the shadows of the night extending over Mount Nebo, I could feel the weight of the story that fell on my aged shoulders. Each wrinkle on my face was a silent testimony of the waged battles, the overdue doubts, and the promises fulfilled over the years. Moses was not just a mere man. He personified the covenant between God and his people, the foundations on which the faith of a nation rested. Each word rendered, every miracle performed echoed as a thunder in the ends of eternity, remembering the supernatural power that acted through his life. The legacy left by Moses transcended the limits of time and space, resonating into the depths of the heavens and echoing between the shadows of the abyss. It was as if even in his earthly absence, his presence continued to challenge the evil forces that sought to corrupt his sacred memory. Lucifer knew that he understood the danger that Moses posed to his infernal machines. For Moses personified redemption in the midst of human fallibility, communion with the divine despite the earthly weaknesses. And it was this duality, this complexity, that made his body not only a carcass of flesh and bones, but a living symbol of divine grace, and Lucifer feared so much. I witnessed the exact moment when the battle for the body of Moses reached its apex. While the shadows of the night stretched over Mount Nebo, a presumption of restlessness took over the air. It was when a crash resonated in the skies, which opened to reveal the imposing figure of Archangel Miguel. Its heavenly splendor bathed the landscape in a stunning light, causing the pale stars to fade before their majestic presence. His flaming gaze and resplendent armor denoted an authority that transcended the boundaries of the acquaintance. It was not just a messenger of heaven, he was the guardian himself of the heavenly gates, the defender of eternal truths. As he landed his divine sandals on the sacred earth where Moses rested, he emanated an aura of power and justice that raised even the foundations of infernal abyss. The venerable silence of the night was interrupted by the voice of the Archangel Miguel, resonating as thunder. "The body is my legacy, my treasure." And at that solemn moment, the heavenly hosts bowed before the supreme authority manifested in the imposing figure of Archangel Michael. As I watched the scene before me, astonished at the imposing presence of the Archangel Michael unfolding before my eyes, a mixture of reverence and fear seized my being. It was as if heaven himself descended to earth in the radiant figure of the guardian of heavenly gates. Every fiber of my being trembled in recognition of the majesty and power that emanated from this heavenly being. His penetrating and flaming gaze seemed to transcend the boundaries of the known reality, plunging into the depths of the heavenly abyss. Upon hearing his voice resonating as the thunder of 1,000 storms gathered in one essence, I knew inside my being that was facing something divinely grand. "The body is my legacy, my treasure," echoed his emphatic statement through the ethereal corridors of the venerable night. At that solemn moment, the supernatural authority manifested in the imposing figure of the Archangel Michael echoed beyond the ends of physical reality. It was the very incarnation of transcendental justice that put the heavenly foundations against the forces of darkness in an epic confrontation by the human soul. There, in the presence of heavenly glory, revealed through the Archangel Michael, I understood that I was not witnessing only the protection of the sacred body of Moses. I was being wrapped in a greater mystery that unfolded before my amazed eyes. If you're ready to dive deeper into the mysteries of Scripture, make sure to subscribe and join us on this spiritual journey. Why should he run? But when he does show up, God doesn't argue with him, he rebukes him. The Lord rebuke you.